Alright, hello everybody. So I am going to show you how you can lay out your own orthographic view blueprint drawing on SketchUp. I know that you've already laid these out on your scratch paper that you made in class. I just want to be able to show you how you can use SketchUp to do this in case you do ever go onto a class where you have to lay out a floor plan and you need to be able to lay out the top view, or if you're in a class where they need an orthographic view, you kind of have an idea of how you can do this on SketchUp. I know you know how to do it from class on paper, but we will actually take this top view that we make here and you'll use that when we lay out our plans for how to actually build this thing. So once again, we have our length, width, and height. Our orthographic view gives us that. We have our length and our width by seeing the top view. Front view gives us our length and our height, so we know how tall it is. And then by the side view, which would be these doors over here, obviously we can see the height and the width. And with shipping containers, something worth noting is that the height is actually greater than the width of this thing, as well as the fact that our side walls, these walls here, which would be represented here, are more narrow than the front and the back, where we have these big heavy doors. So as we build this, we want to take note of that fact that this would be 2 inches and this would be 4 inches. And hopefully if you've finished your drawing on your paper, you should recognize that fact and have those numbers. So I'm just going to show you how you can draw this yourself so that you have this as a reference, and that way you can hand it in to me as part of your formative. So with SketchUp, I'm actually just going to open a new file so that you can see how I built this from the beginning. So I'm going to open a new one, and the first thing I want to do is we're going to make an orthographic view is two-dimensional. It's a flat plane, so we want to look straight up from above. So if I go to my camera, go to standard view, and click on top, we are now looking at our plane here completely from the top. This little dark line here is actually our three-dimensional guy. We don't need him because he serves no purpose here, so I'm going to delete him, and let's go back to our top view. So now we just have an X and a Y axis just like you would do in your geometry class, and let's draw our top view because that's, for me, an easy place to start. I'm going to start at the origin, and as I run this out, I know from our drawing once again that our container is 20 feet, comma, 8 feet, enter. And obviously I was zoomed in pretty close. So if I zoom out, we have 20 feet by 8 feet, which is exactly our length, 20 feet, and then our width is 8 feet. I can use Tools, Dimensions to highlight that fact. So if I click on that corner and I come over to this corner, I can set that. We have 20 feet, and I can do the same thing over here. Click that corner, come out. We have 8 feet. Now, to be able to lay out our dimensions, we do need to look at our interior dimensions. So once again, we have our length and our width, because this is a top view. So our length is going to be 19 feet 4 inches, and our width is 7 feet 8. Because we already did this in class, we would subtract the 19.4 from the 20, which gives us 8 total inches. And then if we divide that by 2, because we'd have 2 walls, that gives us 4 inches on both sides. So for my length, I'm going to go ahead and just make a guide here. So I click on that side, and I want to come in 4 inches, enter. So that gives me that 4-inch wall on that side. Come in 4 inches on this side. And now we have basically what's going to be the layout of our front and back wall. And I know from doing the math already, and what you should have done in class, is that the side walls should be 2 inches. So I'm going to click that at 2, click that at 2, and again we have our interior and exterior dimensions. So because I've subtracted that space, that extra 8 inches, that would be the difference there, and then the extra 4 inches, that's the difference here and here, we have our interior and exterior dimensions. I can check that again if I want to use dimensions. I can click on the line, come straight down, and click on the line, and I can move that around. Oops, there it goes. So when you click it a third time, it locks it into place, but I can see that's the 7'8", which is exactly what this width is, 7'8". And same, I can come back into SketchUp. I have dimensions. If I run across here, we already know that this should be 19.4. Oops. Alright, just click a third time. So we have 19.4, 19.4, 7'8", 7'8", which gives us our interior and exterior dimensions. What would be a good idea, if I wanted to, would be actually make a box that could outline that, but I'm actually not going to do that for now. I think there's other ways to do that. If I want to make sure I don't confuse myself, I can use my 3D text if I want to. And this is my top view. So I'm just going to place that there so that I remember. And if I really want to get specific here so that I don't forget, I could go ahead and lay out my dimensions going straight across here. Oops. So it says 4 inches. And we're having one of those moments where the dimension tool doesn't want to be working. So I'm going to move forward. It's not that big a deal, but you should recognize that that's a 4-inch wall, that's a 2-inch wall. You could label it. And from here now, I'm actually just going to copy this whole thing. So go to move it, press your copy key so that this moves down. Give myself some more space here. So we always go top view, front view, side view. So I'm just going to come straight down in the same plane. Notice that it's on the green axis, and lock it into place. So we know from our dimensions that the length is the same. So 20 feet. 20 feet is 20 feet. But if we have our top view here, this would have to be our front view. And as we know, if we're looking at the front, we can see the height, and our height is going to be greater than what this one is. This is currently 8 feet, but we need the height to be 8'6". So probably the easiest way for me to do that is, I know that this thing being in the front, we're looking at the height of it, it's got to be 6 inches taller than what this is. This is at 8 feet. I need it to be at 8'6". So I can actually just select this one line. See how that one line is blue? I can move it, and I'm just going to type in 6 inches, which now, if I use my dimensions tool, I can click that point, and you'll see that from the front view now, so if we're looking at this, this would be the front face, I'm at 8 feet 6 inches rather than what was the top view, which would have been looking at the top here, which is only 8. Again, this is taller than it is wide. So that was an easy way to set that dimension. Once again, this front face is, or this front wall is the same as that front wall, so those guides are already in place. So those 4 inches are the same as those 4 inches. However, our interior and exterior dimensions for the front face are slightly different because our interior distance here, our interior height is 7 foot 10 inches, whereas our exterior height is 8 foot 6. That's a difference of 8 inches, 7 foot 10, 7, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 8 inches difference, so that means there will be 4 inches on the top, 4 inches on the bottom, giving us an interior height of 7 foot 8. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to measure 4 inches down, so 4 inches, enter. Again, 4 inches, enter. And now I have the proper interior versus exterior dimensions. 7 foot 10. Oops, keep doing that. Got to click it a third time to lock it into place. So we have 8 foot 6 on the outside, 7 foot 10 on the inside, which is exactly what this is. 8 foot 6, 7 foot 10. And we know that we have a 4-inch ceiling, a 4-inch floor, a 2-inch front wall, or excuse me, a 4-inch front wall, a 4-inch back wall. So we are laying this out so that we can kind of get an idea of where all the walls are. Essentially, you'll do the same thing a third time. We can just move this rectangle over if I want to, so I always have the top view, the front view. Let's go ahead and do 3D text, front view, place, right there. So now all I got to do is make the side view. I'm going to go ahead and copy this over. Oops. So press your key to copy that over. Keep it in the same plane. Notice that this time it's on the red axis. I'm just going to bring it over to here. Once again, the height is the same from the side view. So if I come back, the height, whether it's the side view or the front view, is the same height. So this distance here, the 8 foot 6, still the same. We don't need to worry about that. So if I want to label that, I can just have that 8 foot 6, still 8 foot 6. No need to change that. But obviously, the width is not going to be the 20 foot that we have here. The width is once again 8 feet. So rather than having a 20-foot rectangle, which doesn't make any sense, we need this to be the side view, so that should be 8 feet. So the easiest way for me to do that is to just measure 8 feet. Oh, excuse me. Edit, undo. I typed in 8 inches. I want to type in from this point 8 single apostrophe, enter, and that gives me the 8 foot mark right on that line. So I'm just going to grab my line over here. So I click on it once, I go to move it. I can bring that on in to where that guide is. And now I don't even need that guide because that's my exterior wall. So I can just have that as my 8 foot 6 inch height. If I add dimensions again here, now we're at 8 feet there. And as we know from up here, this side wall is the same as this side wall, and again that's 2 inches. If we look again, the width of this is 8 feet wide on the outside, 7 feet 8 inches wide on the inside, so 7 foot 8, 9, 10, 11, 8 feet is 4-inch difference, which means that these walls are 2 inches thick. So once again, use my guide. I'm going to come into inches, enter, come in 2 inches, enter. I'm going to type in side view. And I'm going to place it right there. So I know this is something that you're familiar with, but I did just want to reiterate once again how you use some of these tools. And I want you to more importantly know, oops, there we go. So more importantly, I do want you to be recognizing how you are outlining this orthographic view of your container here, and you're getting the interior versus the exterior dimensions. When we go to build this to be our actual product, we're going to make sure that each of these walls is going to be a separate group so that we can then go and hide those when we want to. And the way I'm going to show you how to do it too is we're going to outline where this space is and make those kind of like the main corner pillars of this shipping container, and then you'll have the corner pillars with the walls in between them, which will be closer to how these things are actually built. So I do want you to go ahead and build this, label the interior, exterior dimensions going all the way around. You should have those dimensions on your paper already, so now you're just kind of laying it out on SketchUp so that we have a place where we can see it more clearly. But it's a good way to visualize how this thing's supposed to look so that you can go to build it later. Submit this to me on Moodle so that I can see your orthographic view. You will then make a template which will be your second formative for this project. Alright, thank you very much. Complete this and hand it in, and then you can move on to the next one. Thanks.